Yo, Wyatt begins in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Wyatt, and I'm your host, Wyatt O'Brien Evans. Grrr, woof, goddammit, woof, woof, woof. Arf. Hey, this show is a very, very special treat. It's another installment of my series, Bedtime with Porn Guys. I'll say it again, Bedtime with Porn Guys. Oh, hell yeah. You know, adult entertainment or porn can be an intrinsic, a fundamental part of the lives of more than a few gay or SGL, same gender-loving men for a variety of reasons. So my listeners, the gay adult entertainer we have on tap today is one of the hottest, one of the most prolific, and one of the biggest in more ways than one, y'all. Like, you know, in all them right places. Oh, yeah. He's one of the biggest, one of the most prolific in the business today. After the show, you're going to run and check out this man's videos. So anyhow, who is he? Well, he's none other than Mr. Aaron Trainer. And he and I are going to jump into the interview in a hot minute. And yo, after the show, visit my online home, WyattEvans.com. That's WYATTEVANS.com, the go-to destination for LGBTQ news, features, commentary, and entertainment. And WyattEvans.com is visited by more than 100 countries on the regular. Hey, yeah, baby. At WyattEvans.com, you'll find my smoking hot. That's HAWT hot. Nothing can tear us apart series of novels. And the current installment is titled Frenzy! Yes, Frenzy. And Frenzy is chock full of masculine romance, danger, intrigue, mystery, and the heat of a million suns of erotic passion and steaming nastiness. All right, y'all. It's high time to introduce our very special guest. He's one of the hottest and most prolific adult entertainers in the world today. Y'all, his growing legion of fans continue to salivate. I said salivate over him. This gentleman is one of the most followed black gay porn stars on Twitter, and he manages his well-followed fan site pages just for fans and only fans. And what's really interesting about our special guest is that he entered the skin game older than the vast majority of porn actors. So without further ado, let's welcome that sultan of sex, Mr. Aaron Trainer. Talk at me. How the hell are ya?
Good evening. How are we doing? I'm doing great. How are you?
I am great. Listen, Aaron, thank you so much for dropping by Wyatt. I greatly appreciate it.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Certainly. Well, sir, like James Brown was in music, you're the hardest working man in adult entertainment. What's up with that?
Yeah, I don't know. You tell me. I'm just grateful.
Well, listen, your legion of fans are so grateful that you're grateful. So listen, man, I've been wanting you on Wyatt because I have to admit something, and that is you are my favorite adult performer.
Get out of
I'm
here.
seriously, yeah, yeah. I've been following your career.
I'm flattered.
Oh, well, listen. What's so cool about you, Aaron, is that you're that muscled guy next door. You know, you're handsome in a rugged way, and you're oozing with that true daddy persona. Now, don't break your hand patting yourself on the back.
I'm not. I'm not at all.
And and another thing that's really great about you is that you fully inject yourself into your scenes. You know, you give those scenes a special realism that really resonates with the viewer, and your role play skills are off the hook. Got any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'm. Thank you, because it's pretty much me. Is what you're getting. So I'm glad that you can tell, or that you see that, because I mean, I want it. I'm here for your pleasure, for your fantasy, to provide, to help you in every way that I can. So, but I do enjoy doing what I do. So I throw myself into it, and I just kind of, what you see is pretty much, pretty much me. So,
Well, listen, you definitely help us in any way you can. You know what I'm saying?
I
I'm assuming that Aaron Trainer is a stage name. I mean, it's really rather catchy. It evokes masculinity.
it is. It is. It is a stage name, but it's kind of, it's there's some of me in there as well. You know what I mean? I'll just say that. The name does hit close. Some of that is me, and some of it is who I am. So yeah, it's another version of me, if you will, put it that way.
Cool.
So, I mean, the name is, I'll just say this, the name was almost my name, my birth name. And
wow.
Yeah, and I've always liked the name. And my mother used to, like to tell that story in particular about how that was almost my name. And that just stuck with me forever. And I always liked that name. So
right.
It came time to come up with a name. Let's take Aaron. So we went there. So I will divulge that much. Yes.
Okay, I'm glad. You know what? I really like trainer because you just train them boys. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that could mean a few things. Yes. I mean, yes, I do like being in the gym, and yes. Yeah. So I don't mind training. I mean, I don't want to put too much work, but I don't mind training.
Okay, I just wanted to spit that one out. But okay. Well, because inquiring minds want to know, what are your stats, your height, your weight, and what you're packing?
Well, okay. I'm not very tall. That's one thing that, we all want to be tall, we want to be short. People with curly hair want straight hair, and vice versa. I am 5'7.5", somewhere around there. I'm not very tall. Right now, I'm sitting at 205. And what else? What was the other question?
What you're packing?
Packing. 9.
Cool. You're 5'7.5". I mean, because on screen, man, you look like you're about 5'9", 5'10". That's interesting.
I'm not very tall. I mean, I wish I were. I wish I was at least 5'9", 5'10", but I'm not. 5'7.5". Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's travel back through the corridors of time. Tell us, where were you born?
I was born and raised in Miami, Florida.
Oh, cool. All right. All right. And I always like to ask my guests this question because it gives us more insight into you. So here it is. What were you like as a boy, a little nipper? What 3 characteristics, qualities best described you as a little boy?
I was a good kid. I was a very good kid. Thoughtful. I'm pretty much the same. I liked to I have sisters. I'm the oldest. I mean, I have brothers too.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I was me and my mother, you know, and us, and so I took care of helped her take care of my sisters, my siblings. Um, I, I mean, I like to do a lot. I mean, I learned, I love to cook. She taught me how to, you know, at an early age to take care of ourselves, you know, in case anything would happen. Those are her words. You know, something happened, you all can take care of yourselves. So
Right.
I do know how to care for you. I do know how to take care of people. It's who I am. I mean, it's in my blood. That's who I am. I'm thoughtful. I'm caring. Let's see. I was pretty active. I like the arts. I music, theater, the whole run of the mill, and sports. I played some soccer. I ran track, cross country. I was a gymnast a bit. I was, pretty athletic. So, but I was a good kid. School. I did school. I was in a lot of extracurricular activities. I was always in something. I was always somewhere. Like there was the weekends. My weekends were taken up for I was in like orchestrals, ensembles. I was in chamber groups. I was in symphonies. I was taking lessons. I was in acting classes. I was doing theater. I was performing. I was always doing something. Or I had a meet. I had like a practice or something. I was somewhere pretty much like, my weekends were full from the morning to the afternoon to the early evening, and I was home. I was a good kid. Yeah. I didn't, my mom put the fear of God in us. We didn't do, we had thoughts of, doing some things we shouldn't have been doing. We were afraid of that, just to have those thoughts. But no, we were good. We were a good family. We were a tight unit. And yeah, and I wouldn't change anything. It was nice. I had a nice upbringing. I mean, I hope that answers your question, but maybe kind of boring. But I was a good kid. I was.
No, not at all. I mean, it shows that, as my mother would have said, you were raised well. You did a lot of things, so you were open minded.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was experiencing a lot. My mother was really sorry to cut you off, but my mother was very, very adamant about us being, learning and being, education, culture, and being put in a group or something, our time being occupied and learning something instead of just, on the streets or in the corner or doing anything. She wanted us in things. She wanted us to learn languages. She wanted us to soak up everything. So she was very, 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 very efficient and very, what's the word I'm looking for? Instrumental in getting us in something. We were in a group. We took piano lessons. I took, clarinet lessons. I took flute lessons. I was in an ensemble. That was just me, but my sisters were in things as well too. And then I had athletic things that I did as well too. And then I was over here. I played PV. I was in a little league baseball for a little bit, for a couple of seasons or whatever. I played flag football. I played soccer, like I said. I grew up gymnast, tennis. Love tennis, by the way. I was in everything. I was my time was full. I was occupied. And the thing is that I liked it. So I would come back and I go, I want to do this. And my mother would be like, well, how are you going to do it? Because you're full. You don't have any time to do anything. But I wanted, and I found a way to make it happen. That's one thing that she, taught me. I had drive, so I'm not afraid to work. So I have that, that I'm not proud of that. So I'm always, I'll land on my feet. Just to say that, So I'm very resourceful. So she was really good about doing that for us.
Well, I can tell that you have a strong work ethic, and that's really very important. Does your family know that you are an adult entertainer?
To my knowledge, I'm pretty sure only, yes, to my knowledge, one of my family members knows. The others don't know. It's not that I am hiding it. I've just been trying to, and it's not so much of a big deal. I just wanted to find the time to actually, I want them to know, to tell them, because like I said, we're pretty close, my family. We've always been. And I just want to tell them. But my fear is if I tell this one first, this one might get upset that I told that one first.
Yeah.
For me, for me, because I have different dynamics even than my family. I love them to death, but we have
Right.
dynamics with one sister. They have a different dynamic with the other one, and then I have the other two that are like right under me, that are just the younger, the two just under me, and then I have the next one, and then I have the next one down. You know what I'm saying? But then I have a dynamic with that one that I don't have with these two. But we're one. We're one unit. We're tight. So I was
Right.
my thing was like, how do I tell them? We got to get everybody together. I want them all. I want to tell them all at the same time. So that was why they pretty much don't know. But my one sister knows. She found out through a friend of hers, actually. A friend of hers that. Yeah, it is. It is what it is. Yeah. She. She used to come visit and hang out at the place, and my sister one day told me, she was driving her to do something, and she said, well, so Tara, her friend, she says she knows you, and I don't know this girl. And I've never met her in my life. I just know her through my sister. And
right.
She was like, she says she knows you. And I'm like, what? We're in the car, and I'm like, I don't know her. I'm like, what is she saying? And she goes, yeah, but she said she knows. I can't believe I'm telling you the story. She said she knows it's Aaron. And I was like, oh. And then saying it, I had no reason to lie or anything. And I was just like, oh, okay. And so she was like, yes. And then she went on to tell me the story about how that, she likes, sometimes she likes to watch gay porn. And she goes in and she told me what she said. She goes, I knew your brother. She goes, every time I would come over, I would like look at him kind of strange. These are my sister going, I know him. She goes, and all of a sudden they hit me. And she goes, yes. She goes, you didn't know? She was like, no, but she was pretty cool about it. So she's like, she goes, really? So she goes, my brother's a porn star. So she gives me a high five. And so that was that, so she knows, but the rest of the family doesn't know yet.
That is hilarious. She was looking at your stuff.
She would come to the house every day, and sometimes stay over. She's one of my sister's good friends, and stay over. And I would see her like seriously, like move around, and I'm like, and whatever. So she's like, yeah. Apparently so, yeah.
Whoa. Well, what is your workout regimen like? Because you've got a very nicely proportioned, muscle chiseled body. So, and you've got this washboard waist, man. So give us some tips. How do you do this?
I just get up and do it. I can't explain it. I like it. First of all, I think you have to enjoy it. You have to, it's a lifestyle for me. So, and like I said, I've always been active and so forth, but I did not start seriously, like, training and working out until like later in the game, if you will. So, like, I started late. I was always active. I played sports. I did that, the whole thing. And then, I used to go to the gym with my younger brother. With one of my younger brothers, we would go to the gym. But he would get lazy, and he was, I think this is a turning point for me. And he would get lazy. He would go, because I like to get up and go in the morning. So he would go, we'll go at 10. Okay, I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. Okay, whatever. Let's go at 11. And then every 11 would turn to 12. Then it would turn to 1 o'clock. And so, and I let that happen for just a little bit too long. And I was like, you know what? I'm done with you. So I going on my own and working out. I like to get up in the morning and do it, and get up in the morning. So early, like, boom, so that's my day. And so I just kind of left him behind. And then I started, liking it a little bit more, and started learning and, studying a little bit and reading up on like how this actually works, because most people think, yeah, you just go to the gym and it's easy. There's a method to this, and muscle takes time, first of all, to grow. That's what your thing if you want to grow. So you have to be consistent in the gym. Consistency is the key. You have to show up, you have to put in the work, and it's not going to be comfortable all the time. A lot of times it's uncomfortable. It's difficult. It's hard because you have to, first of all, be ready up here. Set up, in your head.
Mentally.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You have to be ready mentally. And that's if you're going to be a bodybuilder, just if this is going to become a way of life for you, you have to commit to it. You know what I'm saying? It's life changing for some people. And like I said, it's a lifestyle for me. So I get up every day and I go to the gym, I work out 5, sometimes 6 days a week, which is a little bit much, but I do 5 days for sure. And then if I'm depending on my program, if I've been hitting it hard a lot, I'll switch up my program and I'll go maybe like 3, maybe 4 days a week, and I'll maybe throw in a functional training day here. But and I get my cardio in. Cardio is very important. So right now, my program is split body parts. I have, for example, I have. I just changed. I used to do legs on Mondays, but now I do chest on Mondays. Tuesdays I do legs. Wednesdays it's either back or arms. Thursdays I do hamstrings. So I have 2 leg days. I have quads on Mondays or Tuesdays, and then on Thursdays I usually do glutes and hamstrings, and that's shoulders, and then maybe I might hit a little bit more chest and some traps on Fridays. Saturdays, if I do it, I do like a little bit of a circuit. I do a little bit of everything, but it's going to change in probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'm going to probably do maybe push pulls. I always change the program because change is good, because the body catches up. You know what I'm saying? You have to trick your body. You have to always keep changing it. Change your rep range. Change the order that you do things in order to get growth, to see change. So you always have to do that. So, and I like it. I enjoy it. I feel like it gets my day going. If I miss a day, I feel guilty. It bothers me all day. I didn't go to the gym, and like today I hit it twice in the morning. I had 2 workouts today, and then I went back and I did some cardio like this afternoon with a little bit of chest and some shoulders and some cardio. Before this, actually around like 4. So, and then this morning at like 7:00, I was my initial workout. So that doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes I do 2 days, but most of the days, it's one nice workout a day. But everyone's I hit it twice.
Amazing. Well, my listeners, get your asses in the gym. Anyway, get in the gym.
It's not for everybody, but do what works for you, but challenge yourself. That's the thing. You have to challenge yourself. If it's comfortable and if it's easy and you're just going, your body catches on, it's not going to work as hard. So you have to, you want to. Everybody wants to look good. Everybody wants it, but nobody wants to work. You know what I'm saying? So you have to work for it. And trust me, you will reap the rewards. You will definitely see. Your body will pay off. It will show it.
Aaron, why the adult entertainment industry? What was that driving force, the impetus behind you finding your way into the biz?
Wow. People ask me this many times. I've been asked this question. Honestly, I like sex. I'm a man.
Right.
I knew I was gay when I was a kid. I just knew. It was just something
right.
And I knew I liked men. I like that I get to sleep with men. I love that. And if I could, I'd take them all home. I would. Hey, okay. I enjoy. I like men. So I don't know. I have a high sex drive. And I'm always. And I can appreciate a good-looking man. It's not always. Let me back up. It's not always about the hot guy, the perfect guy, the handsome guy. He's beautiful. He's gorgeous. Oh my God, he's so good-looking. He's so handsome. For me, that's not that. It's not that. It's little things, it's the way they speak, the way they walk, the way they stand, their personality. Nice wins every time. You know what I'm saying? You could be, as gorgeous, beautiful, hot, sexy, and have the worst attitude. We're done. I want nothing to do with you. You know what I'm saying? Because that makes you ugly. And it's weird all the time, but it's so true. So for me, I like a wide array. I like a lot. I said this before, and I'll say it again. Sexy is sexy. It comes in all shapes and forms. There's no denying it. So I know what I like when I see it, and that's that. So some people think, well, not everybody, but some people think that, oh, he's this and he only goes for. No, I don't. I like them all. I like everything. So yeah. But to answer your question, like I say, maybe around my 30s, late 20s, 30s or so, I noticed that I was watching a lot of porn. And then I noticed that I was watching it a lot. And then I noticed that I was watching it like throughout the day. Then I noticed I was watching it every day. then I noticed that I was watching it like every second, every minute that I had free throughout the day.
Wow.
And I was,
Okay.
we have our phones on our pockets, and I would always pick it out and I have all these sites loaded on my browser. And I'm just like there going, I'm just looking at shit. I have some downtime. I have 10 minutes, and I'm looking at it. I'm going, do I have a problem? But, I didn't. I just like sex and I like porn. And I would see these guys, all kinds of guys and all kinds of porn. And I would just see this. And of course, it did something to me. I was turned on. I was like, this is really hot. This is great. And it just fed my appetite that I already had, the huge appetite that I have. And it made me tap into my own like sexuality and preferences, and it put me more in tune. And it made me want to explore even more. You know what I'm saying? It made me want to find, that person that, put it this way. Whenever I did find that person that was willing to explore with me, it was like jackpot. So I was able to push the envelope a little bit more and learn a little bit more about myself. And, and help me do that. And I would just see these guys and I would just go, God, that should be me. I want to do that. I wish that's a lucky motherfucker right there. I would say shit like that, So, and I started saying to myself, what if I could do this? I don't know where it came from. I just thought to myself, I think I'm a natural performer. I like, doing that and being, that kind of a thing. And I do like being watched. I do like giving pleasure, if you will. That I get something out of that. That's a huge thing for me. Just, satisfying somebody else. That's my gratification. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that I be able to do this and I get off on that, Am I making sense?
What you're making great sense. And let me just add this. A lot of us guys really need to learn from you, because too many of us, not me, but too many of us are just so, when we take someone to bed, we are so busy trying to get ours that we neglect the other person. And it's a two-way street.
It is. Absolutely. And I like that. That's one thing for me that does it for me. So I started thinking, how do I do this? How do I, get a foot in the door? And so me being who I am, I'm like I said, I'm resourceful. And so I just started, one day I was on some dating site and just like killing time. And I was like, I wonder if, and sure enough, I stumbled upon a couple of porn guys, like, one or two were like fake ones, you know what I'm saying? But then I shot them a message and they responded. And I'm like, I'm actually chatting with so-and-so. I'm actually chatting with him. And some of them weren't nice. I'm not going to name any names. Some of them, but for the most part, most of them were very nice. And we chatted, we talked or whatever. And I was that guy. How do you get into porn? What do I do? Asking that question.
Right.
And everybody, all of them told me the same thing, well, you're going to need pics, you know what I'm saying? Because the studios are going to ask for this shot, this shot, this shot, and this shot. And send them to go on, see some sites, find some sites that you think that you like and that you think you would be, that you'd be good for, that you think that you fit into. And, or the ones that you like, be realistic about it, and send the pics. And but keep saying, and I said, okay, fine, sure. They all said the same thing. So I was like, okay, we got to take pics. So that was a challenge then. So I was like, okay, first of all, you have to find the time. You got to be alone. You got to make the time. And then with me, I worried about like my surroundings. I don't want to send a pic where like a dirty bedroom or something. That's with me.
Yeah,
I'm not going to send that. So it had to be the right time. It's like I probably could do it.
Ambiance.
I could probably do it right now, but no, I got to clean up a little bit, so I wouldn't do it that day. So everything had to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? So I had to be a good setting. I didn't want to be like the typical whatever. I didn't want to be whatever. So anyway, long story. So finally, I got some pics and I got the shots. And I remember when I would go on some sites, they all asked for the front shot, the head shot. They wanted the profile. They all wanted the rear, the back. They all want the same shots. So we take like 50 shots, and they all suck. So you
Oh,
and
wow.
they all say, you take a lot of pics or whatever, but you want to send good pics, And so
Right.
and they understand, they see the lighting is okay or whatever, but you want some clear shots. You want clear shots, nothing hiding the face, nothing. They want to see the body. So I get my shots and I send them out, and nothing happens. I don't hear anything,
Oh.
and I'm like, okay. So I'm on again, and I run across this one actor again, a model again on site, and we start talking again. He goes, and he was like, I don't know. He's like, you'd be great, man. I think you'd be really, really good. He goes, keep sending them, send them again, let them know. He goes, because they see a lot of pics every day, and if you keep sending them, they'll get flooded with your pics, the same over and over and over. Trust me, you will come to the surface. They will see your pics. If you send them and keep sending them and keep sending them, because they probably just didn't see them because they get so many a day, just keep sending them. Trust me, your pics will surface. So I said, okay, fine. So I sent them again. So this happened for like maybe 2 months, maybe close to 3 months. And I was like, okay, fine, or whatever. And I remember I had sent to the same sites, and then maybe 2 more sites I added or whatever. And then all of a sudden, but actually, let me back up really quick. I have to give credit because I met Maverick Men online. And they were very, very nice. I don't know if you know who they are, but
I sure do. Yeah.
they were very nice to me. Cole was very nice. We chatted for a little bit. We emailed, and then like 2 days later, he sends me his number. We started texting. I was like, oh my god! And I liked their stuff. I had a subscription to their site, and I was like, he's actually talking to me, So, and he was the first one. So I have to back up, and he was the first one. He offered to actually take pics for me, help me get pics done or whatever. And he even offered. He said, if you like, maybe. He goes, I think you're hot. You look great. This and this and whatever. And I was wow. I was flattered that he would think so. He goes, no, really. And he goes, if you like, maybe we come to Miami quite often. Maybe if you're comfortable, we can maybe get a solo jack-off scene. So you can do that. That was like my first foray, but that didn't happen because it was a timing thing. We didn't meet. So fast forward to, they were the very first ones that kind of put me on the right path. And then I met these other guys online or whatever, and I started doing that. So about for 2.5, close to 3 months, I stopped. It was like maybe 2 weeks. I had sent everything and I sent them again. Then all of a sudden, I got hit up by like 3-4 different studios and directors.
Wow.
All in the same week, all like within days of each other. Like today, like 2, the next day another.
Amazing.
Seriously, and I said this before. It's like somebody literally flipped the switch, and it was on, and everybody hit me, and I was like, whoa. This is crazy, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, now what do I do? Because I have these people that are interested, and so I'm like, okay, let's calm down. And then I responded. I was like, okay, it was like I just couldn't believe it. But seriously, like so many people. And
well,
I'm sorry.
Who was your first studio?
The first studio, actually, again, believe it or not, I shot a scene with Maverick Men.
Right.
And like some months had passed and it hadn't been released or anything because they did come to town. We're coming to town. We did something. And it was a whole thing about them. They wanted to make sure that I was sure that I wanted to do it. So they made it kind of like a Halloween kind of a thing. They go, we show faces, we don't cover up or anything, but Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. And so we'll make it like a Halloween kind of a thing or whatever, but we're going to film. And so I said, okay. But the very first studio I shot for was, I think it was Pride Studios. And then 2 days later, I shot for Waffle Club. I did a gangbang. And then I think 2 weeks later, I got flown out. She flew me out to LA and I shot for Noir Mill.
Wow.
And I came back and then I shot again for Pride. I think that next week when I got back again. And then there was another scene. I shot another scene for Waffle Club the following week. So I shot like 6 scenes in like 2 weeks, I think it was when I first started. Yeah. And I was just like, wow, I can't. It was just, seriously, it was just like, boom, and it just happened. And then I've just been fortunate to be working ever since then.
You are, man, you are prolific. 2 questions. How long, Aaron, have you been in the biz, and what was your first sex scene with someone like Were you nervous? Was there trepidation?
No, oddly enough, I mean, I don't have any of those typical stories that you probably heard before. I was excited as hell. I'll just be honest with you. I was like, this is fucking happening. Excuse my language. This is actually happening. I couldn't believe it, seriously. And when I found out the magnitude of the people that were actually reaching out to me, I was like, are you kidding me? And I just couldn't, I was like, wow. So I remember when I first got booked, my first scene, and I showed up to set, and I didn't know who the model was or anything, but he was very nice, and I was just there. I'm like, okay, so how does this? I was just waiting to be told what to do, basically. And I showed up, and then we have our paperwork. You fill out your paperwork and so forth and everything. And then we talk about the scene. The director comes out and talk about the scene, what we're going to do. We're going to shoot over here. This is what's going on, blah, 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 blah. This is going to happen, then this is going to happen. There's a little bit of dialogue, not much in my first scene. And I was like, okay, great. And so we're ready, and there were lights and everything. And I look around, and I'm like, I'm actually on a fucking porn set. And I was like, this is crazy. And my model had done, my scene partner had done this many times before. He'd been in the business already. And so he's like, okay, fine. I just see him there. He's like, naked. Well, because a lot of the times you don't shoot in sequence. You'll shoot like, sometimes you'll shoot, for example, you'll shoot like you'll shoot like a part of the scene that's a blowjob, Let's
right
here first or whatever, blah, 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 where you're like half dressed or maybe totally undressed. And then, the next part you'll shoot is like the entrance. Okay, well, now you got to put this back on or whatever. And then we do the knock on the door, that kind of a thing. And then you'll shoot that. It's odd. You don't shoot in sequence all the time. We'll shoot this first, we'll shoot this first, and then we'll shoot that or whatever. And then and then they edit everything together. So it just depends on the day. Sometimes it's close to almost, depends on the studio, depends on the scene. They'll kind of shoot a little bit, kind of like, this is where we're going now, this is where we're going. But if it's for a big studio and there's a lot of dialogue, they'll shoot the B-roll, they'll shoot the dialogue here, they'll shoot the angle from over here, they'll shoot the coming in from the door from over here. They'll shoot, okay, now this is the part where the blowjob is, so they'll get a little bit of that. And then a lot of times you'll stop and you'll do pics. And then you go back, and then you go back and then you start shooting again. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit all over the place, but it makes sense to them. I'm just a prop. I just show up and do what I'm told, and that's that.
Right.
And that's pretty much it. But there are some studios where it's just like, this is what's happening, let's do it, and we just roll. So I was like, okay, let's do this. My scene partner was good looking, nice guy, very, very nice, and was, tried to make me comfortable. It's your first time, yes. Oh, don't worry with this and this and this. And I was like, and the director's like, okay, here we go, and action. And I was just like, oh, this is happening, And so, I took to it like a duck to water. Seriously, I just jumped in there, and it was so easy for me. You hear about the nervousness performing, in front of cameras with other people. I was all about it, man. I was in there. I got my job done. When they told me I could eat his ass, I was in heaven. So I was
I love it.
I went for it, and I was like, yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do, by the way. So, it was great, and I just couldn't wait to do it again. And the other question is, I've been 3 years now doing this, not that long.
Okay.
Seems like longer. Gosh, yeah, 3, maybe a little bit more. Almost 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. A comment, 2 comments actually. First of all, there is certainly an ease to your performances. It's like we are looking in someone's bedroom or wherever they're having sex. So there is an ease to it. And let me say, speaking about blowjobs, my man, one of my favorite scenes of yours is with, I think the model's name is Aston Springs.
Okay, go ahead.
Right. And the title of it's something about gag reflex. And let me tell the viewers, you all, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but the blowjobs are just totally luscious. It's just The acting is convincing. I could see this really happening. And I mean, that boy was on you. Give us, listen, y'all, that boy was on Mr. Trainer, and Mr. Trainer pulled out his trainer cap or hat, and he was giving some damn instructions. And listen, Mr. Springs was following your instructions. So give us your thoughts on that, if you would.
He's a very nice guy, very good-looking guy. He's been my scene partner about 3, maybe 4 times. We filmed together. That's the story I was telling you when I was on set. I was talking about, he was my first studio scene. He was my first scene partner, and nice guy. When it was just, every time that we filmed together, we always kind of go, we know we're going to film together. So when we get to set, I see him, he sees me. We have a connection. We really do. I don't know if, I guess obviously you can tell, but we just kind of, it's just easy. I mean, he's got a great ass. I don't know if you've seen that smooth ass that he has. And I just shove my face in there, and he likes my dick. So we work together well, and it's easy. It flows. He likes it, and so do I. The problem, we filmed another scene called Tonight's Boyfriend, I think it was called, where he's like he just closes a big deal, and he's been stressed all week, and he just wanted to like kind of be told what to do. He didn't want to make any more decisions. He wanted somebody to kind of put him in his place, kind of a thing. He didn't want to be the boss anymore. And I think it was called Tonight's Boyfriend. And he orders me up. He calls up and he sees my profile, and he's had this crush on me, and he calls me up, and he has some instructions. He has like things that he wants me to wear. Like he's got a collar he wants me to put on him, and he's got like a little whip and some stuff. He wants me to wear a harness, and he wants me to dress up a little bit. He wants me to pretty much dominate him, and feed him the dick, and make him do stuff. And so that was a fun scene too. And so we work well together. we work.
Now, what was the name of that clip again, please?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, please, I hope I'm not wrong, I think it's called Tonight's Boyfriend.
Well, y'all, listen, if you want to see somebody close a deal, you need to check that one out, if you get my drift.
I think it's called Tonight's Boyfriend.
Let's drill down into your screen persona, because, correct me, Aaron, if I'm wrong, I believe when you started out, you were that anal top daddy, but now you're being more versatile. Yeah. Why have you decided to switch it up, so to speak?
Well, when I first started, and still a lot now, still most of the studios hired me to they want me to top, and I was like, okay, fine, I went with it. But when they ask you, at first when you first start, you try to establish, you pretty much you take the jobs you get, if you want to work. But then once you try to establish what you are, your top, your bottom, or whatever, you try to get that done. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're versed, you get more work if you look at it that way. But I am, I'm versed, so I don't mind. I go with the flow. I don't have to, I don't go into sex if it's thinking that, okay, I'm gonna top or whatever. I just go into sex looking to have a good time, and whatever happens. Chemistry dictates, and I go with it. If I happen to end up hanging from the ceiling, then I end up hanging from the ceiling. That's just how it goes. But yes, then I started. Rocco Steele hired me to. First, let me back up. I did a fans, like one of my fans sites. I did a gangbang with it's called Fort Lauderdale Pride, I think about 3 years ago, with JD Daniels and his then husband Wilcox, with Sean Harding and Levy Fox and Jack Stanatos were all in it, and I really didn't know anybody, but JD reached out to me and he's like, I wanted to do it. I was like, really? And I was like, I was still so new. And it was supposed to be bigger, a little bit bigger, but it ended up being, it's a perfect group. And it was like an orgy. And that happened. And that was the first time that I bottomed on screen, if you will. It wasn't for a studio. and everybody went fucking crazy. So I started getting messages and this and that about it, whatever, and there was like retweets and like things on Twitter, all over Twitter, and everybody started talking about, oh my gosh, we want you to bottom, please bottom more, please bottom more, please bottom more, you know. And then I started getting like, you know, fans that would send me messages and going, oh my god, your ass, and this and this and this. So I was like, I need to listen to this. So I started to try to do a little bit more. And then Rocco Steele hired me for one of his movies, Dragon Media, called Dad's Bareback Barbershop.
Yeah, I remember that one. Okay.
I think that was my scene partner was Jack Dixon. And I think that scene, I think, kind of solidified and kind of put me like, you know, like in everybody's face because I bought
it. It did, yeah.
And I don't watch my scenes, but I kept got so much feedback from that scene, and still to this day.
Yeah.
Just yesterday, somebody was retweeting it and talking about it, and I've gotten so much feedback from that I actually said, let me watch this, and I watched it, and I was like, ooh, that's me. Ooh.
Yeah, it's hot. It's truly. I think that was the first time I saw you bottom in film.
Yeah, it's like because that was the first studio scene I think that I bottomed for, and people would just like ate it up. So they want to see it. So I'm trying to make people happy, and I have a lot of people. I just did an interview yesterday, and the guy was like, "Thank you. I'm so glad you're bottoming more." You know, so I was like, I do what I can. You know, so yeah, I'm trying to balance it out or do a little bit, do one, do the other one. But lately it's been seeming like I've been through a lot of bottling. You know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with it. But yeah. So yeah, you noticed, huh?
Oh yeah, I did. It was very, 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 very hot. It was very real. And I said to myself, God damn, what? You know? And it didn't. For those of us who are so used to seeing you as a top, I wasn't disappointed because I just said, this is hot as hell, and this is just another aspect of you.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, you're right. Because at first, I don't think most people weren't expecting it. And then when it was released and they saw it was
right.
Whoa. And then it was just like an onslaught of like DMs and messages, and people were like, oh my God. And they just went crazy. And so I just said, okay, I need to listen to this. So, yeah.
I'm glad you brought that out because, it was a real whoa moment because you have some tops who bottom, they've been top for a while and then they bottom, but they're not convincing.
Yeah.
You could tell that they're really not into it. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're just in it for the paycheck. But in that scene, and even in your subsequent bottoming scenes, you, my brother, are into it, and it doesn't diminish from your masculinity.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It truly, it doesn't.
I do.
It doesn't diminish. It's just like I said, another aspect of you.
I hear that because I know not those exact words, but I hear people tell me, I get messages, gosh, I love to see you bottom. Thank God, I'm glad you're bottoming more. I love to see the fact that you're a muscle daddy and looking like you look and all masculine. I love to see you taking the dick. It's so fucking hot. I love to see you this, and it's like, and you're into it, and you love it, and the way you moan, and your body's this, and blah, 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 and I hear that or whatever. And they like the fact that this image that they see, of me looking like I look, getting railed, you know what I'm saying? And it does something to them. So, and they like seeing it. So, like I said, I try to listen and try to give my friends what they like.
Well, my brother, keep on keeping on.
As long as
okay. We will, my God, we will. No question.
Good. I mean, can't do it forever, but as long as if as long as people want to see me, then I'll do what I can.
We really appreciate that. We really do. But I want to move on to COVID.
Yeah.
how has that, Aaron, affected business, how studios, conduct themselves, that sort of thing?
Well, COVID for sure, absolutely, most definitely put a stop to the industry, like a dead stop. The whole industry shut down. Nobody was filming at all for a while. So if you have a fan page like a Just for Fans or Only Fans, or what's the other one, like For My Fans, or any of those platforms, and you had content, or you had that fan page, that was kind of your savior. Not kind of, that was your savior. That was like, because there are people that just do this. This is what they do for a living. That they just film, and they do this. They're sex workers, and that's what they do. They don't have another job. Like me, I have another job as well. So they had nothing coming in. This is one aspect. Unlike other people, like in the other side, other parts of the world and other careers, like they lost a lot too. But sex workers, like, there was nothing. Nobody was doing anything. So they lost anything. So their fan sites, whatever they had, their subscriptions, people that, their members and so forth, saved them somewhat. But then there were people that didn't have money, so they lost some as well too. But if you had some content like waiting, like on deck, ready, that you'd already filmed, that tied you up only so far, but you had new stuff to put there. So again, everybody stopped and nothing happened, and everybody started to suffer. And so if you had stuff already on your site, we had people that were, thankfully, that were still subscribed, and it kind of saved you. And so you had a little bit of something coming in. You know what I'm saying? So you had those subscriptions, and thank God that you had that out there, because, and that they liked you, that, and you saved them, because everybody was stir crazy. Everybody was on lockdown, and they could just log on and just watch you. You're their favorite person, your favorite star, one of them, because they liked you. So they had that. They could do that, pass the time. And, and then we were able to eat as well too, and we were able to help them. One hand washes the other. But it affected everything. Seriously, like I said, everything shut down, nothing happened. And then slowly, eventually, a couple of studios started to, I don't know which one's first, but started to talk about filming again.
Okay.
And we only started with maybe a little bit of a small, maybe 1 or 2 scenes or something like that. And then it was major testing. Everybody, you had to get tested for this. We test anyway for, your STDs and so on and so forth, and if you're responsible, you're on top of that. But they tested for COVID, you know what I'm saying? When kind of it was very, very hush if anybody did that, but it was kind of there were a few studios that are very powerful in the industry, and kind of if they kind of gave the green light, I'm hoping nobody comes back and stabs me for this. But if they gave the green light, kind of okay, it was kind of a collective sigh, if you will, and a collective agreement that, okay, it's okay to kind of start filming slowly again. But it was very, very gingerly. People were very, very tepid about the whole thing. And not everybody started, you know what I'm saying? So, and as we found out a little bit more, and then after, we could get tested every 2 weeks or every week or so and so forth like that, that kind of a thing, they were, started to film masks on set, the directors and everybody, everything. You get tested. You tested when you walk in the door. They take your temperature. They do the whole thing. Everything was done. And it was a very much smaller or closed set. It was only the models that were involved, and of course the director and maybe one lighting guy, and that would be it. You know what I'm saying? It was a very, 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 very small, circle of whoever was on set. But this was after things started to kind of let up a little bit, and and a few studios kind of came in. This is what I'm saying. This is me. Maybe came in the group that it's okay to kind of film a little bit, kind of hush, but keep it, it's not boom, no one's doing anything that we shouldn't be doing, or taking anything for granted, or, what I'm saying, or being irresponsible. It kind of slowly started happening, opening up a little bit. Now things are a little bit better. People are filming, they still test, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know I can't say about, if the whole thing about not testing anymore, since everything, if you're fully vaccinated, I can't, answer that question. But they still do, as far as I know, the last time I filmed, they still, took the temperature, the whole kind of thing. We went and we did that kind of stuff. So that's still out there as far as I know. And you still
Mm-hmm.
test, you know what I'm saying? So that's that's one of the tests, you know, your STDs and then the COVID test. But I have something coming up in the next week and then the following week, so I'll have to see what they say if they want. But my other normal, like my other panel, everything's up to date. I keep that up to date. But we'll see how the whole COVID thing goes, whatever now with, you know, with being fully vaccinated. But yeah, COVID, you know, sure, killed it, killed the industry. You know, like it
Wow.
killed the world, killed everybody. You know, we were all forced to
Right.
stop, but it killed everything. And you know, a few of us were grateful we were able to survive with, you know, our platforms a little bit there. So that's that.
Huh. Well, you know, I know you get this question all the time, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Aaron, what advice do you have for guys thinking about, you know, making the porn biz a career? If you could tell them 3 things, what would they be?
Wow. I mean, I don't know if I can only say 3 things, but
Or 2?
yeah, you know, make sure you want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Be certain, think about it first. Because I mean, I'm not trying to say that it's a bad thing or whatever. Just, you know, just look at it this way. Once it's out there, it's out there. Okay. So, you know, think about it. I mean, you can't kill the internet. You know what I mean? So you
Right.
can't, you know, just really think about it. Just make sure you're comfortable with who you are and you're certain, you know what I'm saying? Be smart about it. Just be mindful, be you know, be responsible is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have believe in yourself
Mm-hmm.
because it is difficult, to be honest with you. It's not as easy as it looks to just start porn. Because, like I said, I was that guy. I was like, "How do you get into porn? You don't. You have to know. So you gotta knock on the door, a lot of doors. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll get ignored, you'll get looked over, unless you're this stunningly gorgeous, out of this world man with a huge, huge dick. That, you know, then everybody's gonna want you. You know what I'm saying? That, you know, miss you. You know what I'm saying? Which, and there's a few of those that exist, and more power to them. But, like, you know, there's a lot of competition. I don't like to say that word, but there's a lot of competition out there, and not everybody's out to, and not everybody's your friend. Not everybody's out to help you succeed. You know what I'm saying? So because the next guy's harder than this guy, and then the next guy's harder than him. The next guy's harder than him, and his dick is bigger than his, and his dick's bigger than his. You know, it's just, it just goes on and on and on and on. Just believe in yourself, be confident. You know, and you got to have a tough skin. You know, yeah, that's it. And I mean, if
that's good. That's good advice.
you know, just
Okay.
don't let anybody make you feel any type of way, because I've experienced some stuff. You know, I don't want to get into detail. You know,
Sure.
I've been, just because being a black man, I've experienced some stuff, and then just in general, you know, in this industry, I've experienced, you know, some things. You know, but I've been fortunate enough to work with good people. All my scene partners have been great. I've gotten along with them. I haven't had one bad scene, knock wood. Everything's flowed. We had a good time. We all had cum shots in the end. You know,
yeah,
great. Nobody faked anything. It was great. We had a connection. But that's just me. I've been lucky that way. And the directors have been great, and I've had some good jobs, and I met some cool people. So, but you know, there's the shady stuff too. So you got to have tough skin. You know, I don't mean to make it sound like it's bad, you know, because it can be fun. You know, I have fun. I'm on set. I have fun. I talk to my scene partner. I talk to the director. I like to have fun on set too. But, you know, when it's time to work, we work. But, you know, if you want to call it work, I don't call it work. But it's it can be good. It can be fun. It can be nice. You know what I'm saying? Just be smart. You know, that's all. Be mindful.
That is really sound advice. So, Aaron, what do you have on tap for the rest of 2021? Any projects you want to tell us about? Because, you know, inquiring minds want to know.
Well, there's so far this year, I've it's been a little bit different than the past. I'm traveling more, which is good. I've been tapped to do this. I've been tapped to do that. I was in Atlanta a few weeks ago. I was in New Orleans for the first time ever, just like a couple weeks ago for Pride. That was a lot of fun. That was work, but it was, but it was fun. It was Pride. I had a great time. I think I'm going to be going back there sometime soon. I think I have something coming up. I don't know any dates yet. Maybe I shouldn't really talk about it, but I do have some other things, some other travel gigs and appearances coming up. I have, like I said, I have a scene next week, and I have another one the following week coming up. What else is there I have going on? I have some photo shoots coming up too, and I have aside from this, I have a couple of interviews. A couple of people have tapped me to interview me, so I got a lot of stuff going on. I'm looking. My calendar is starting to get a little bit fuller, and I'm starting to, this is kind of like a little bit of downtime. It's not that much, but I'm taking it, and I'm kind of, relaxing or whatever, because it took us a while to connect,
Yeah, it did.
And I apologize. I've been busy,
No worries.
So, but yeah, I have some stuff, the summer looks like it's going to be busy. Yeah.
Well, how do us grown folk contact you, connect with you? Please give us your social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, website, all that good stuff.
I just have the normal ones. Nothing's crazy. I do not have Facebook. So if you find someone told me they had a Facebook profile, that is not me. I've never done Facebook. I do have a Twitter. It's Aaron Trainer XXX. Okay, and it's open. It's not private. You can just whatever. You can DM me there. And let me say this right now. I get a lot of DMs on my Twitter, and I do respond. I do respond. Just give me a moment. Give me some time. I respond to everybody. I do, even if it's just a hi. I respond to people. Then you get, some of the people that are just like full of shit, or people just like play games or whatever. But I do respond to people. So, and I get a lot of them, but I do respond. My Instagram is _Aaron_trainer. That one is private, so you have to request. And I go through those every day. And if there's no pic on the profile, 9 times out of 10, I will not accept it, because that could be anybody. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Anybody. It could be someone, that I kind of don't want. And then that one, the Instagram is locked on purpose. It's less of a risk, if you will, on Twitter. But Instagram will tell you that tell your friend that you're online. Instagram will tell you that, your grandmother that you're on Instagram. It will tell your grandmother that, whoever's in your contact, Instagram matches your contacts up and lets you know that they're on there. So that one is private for those reasons. But I go through the requests all the time. And again, on there, I respond to everybody. And then I have my fan pages. I have my OnlyFans at Aaron Trainer, onlyfans.com/Aaron Trainer XXX. And then I have Just for Fans, which is justfor.fans/Aaron Trainer XXX. I have those 4 pretty much. The 2 social medias are Twitter and Instagram. And then I have the platforms for my personal content. I do try to fulfill requests, because I get a lot of people messages on there. Let's see this. I want to see this. And I get a lot of people asking me to bottom. And so I have a lot of new content on there of me bottoming. So yeah. So go check it out. There's a lot of stuff on there. So yeah. There's a lot. I've got some new stuff. I got some stuff in the wings too. So I just uploaded a couple of things on Just for Fans and the OnlyFans today. I have a part 1 that I uploaded with Rocco Steele. People have been waiting for that one. So part 1's on there. And then I've got some anonymous stuff on there, which is pretty hot. I've got some public stuff on there, which is actually really hot. And then I've got some just straight up hot man-on-man sex going on there. So, yeah.
Well, Mr. Trainer, you're just a hot man, and I'm going to make a beeline to all of that stuff. Mr. Aaron Trainer, I want to thank you for visiting Wyatt. I greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure. Seriously, it really is. This has been fun.
I'm glad. Well, Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Again, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So there you have it. You can find the official Wyatt podcast page on WyattEvans.com. The official hashtag is WyattOnAir. And if you want to be a guest on Wyatt, or you just have comments, email me at WyattOnAir@gmail.com. WyattOnAir@gmail.com. And you can follow me, Wyatt O'Brien Evans, your host, on Facebook.com/Wyatt O'Brien Evans. Again, O'Brien has an A, not an E. Also on Twitter at Mr. Woe. That's MisterWoe. On Instagram at Mr. Wyatt O. MrWyatto. And be sure to check out my Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels, the latest being Frenzy. I said Frenzy. And its predecessor, Rage, at WyattEvans.com. So until next time, woof, goddammit, woof, 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 woof.